Today we're talking about adulting.
Adulting.
Uh-huh.
Are we qualified to talk about this? Because we've only been adults for a few years. Adulting can be a little ghetto. Not gonna lie.
So are Malia and I passing or failing at this thing called adulthood? That's really what we're going to be getting into.
Or are we just scraping by?
I feel like we got our shit together. Welcome to the Big Sis Energy podcast, your go-to space for real talk, unfiltered advice, and all the tea you didn't know you needed. We're your hosts, Mackenzie
And Malia, aka your internet sisters. We're just here to walk through our early 20s with y'all in real time. We'll chat about relationships, personal growth, no sugarcoating, just the good stuff.
And this season, we're not holding back, so grab your drink, get comfy, and let's chat. It's time to step into your Big Sis Energy.
You ready?
Wait, is this thing on? Happy Sunday, y'all.
We're back!
Big Sis Sundays every week.
Yes.
Every week. We're back. Episode 3.
Why am I more excited? Because now we're starting to launch all of our trailer videos and like teasers for the podcast. So it hasn't like officially launched yet while we're filming it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's making me really excited because y'all are also excited.
The intro trailer video, we posted that today and everybody was commenting like, I'm so excited for it to be back. Oh my gosh. And now I'm like, wait, I'm so excited for it to be back even more.
But we haven't launched the official trailer. So it's kind of like a cinematic. It kind of looks like a movie trailer. Mm-hmm. It's really cute. And I can't believe that we have that video.
The videographer 8.
Down.
I did not
8 is an understatement.
I did not expect for it to be a movie trailer like that. Like when we got back the first edit, this is just the trailer. This is only a minute and 30 seconds. Where can I actually watch this movie? Like actually, you guys, I'm weak in the knees.
And also being on set, that was so much fun. I feel like I haven't had that much fun in a long time. And everyone that we worked with, we had all of our friends play the students in the background. So it was such a fun experience. And then also working with great photographers, great videographers. Everyone on set was perfect.
We had so much fun and I want to do it again, but I don't know what we would do it for.
I know, I'm like, do we just make a short film now? I feel like that could be in the works one day.
Honestly,
that would be kind of fun.
Shoot.
Starring Mackenzie and Malia.
Yeah.
Like, what could it be about? That'd be kind of fun.
If we train to box each other. Like, I've been wanting to fight you my whole life.
That's insane. I was actually thinking that too, but I was like, okay, I'm back in the gym, but I'm not fully better yet. So once I'm like out of my health journey, I'm 100% back, then we'll run it back.
I'm not gonna lie, I've told Eric that I've wanted to fight you like so many times.
Really?
And he's like, Mackenzie, like, can't do that. And I'm like, I know, like
Eric's like, she's sick.
Yeah, I was like, if Malia was like fully healthy, since we were kids, I've always wanted to fight you.
Yeah.
Because we wrestled one time.
Yeah.
We wrestled.
Barely.
Well, we were just trying to see who's stronger. And I think if you're sisters, you know that competitive energy.
Yeah. And we've kind of been plotting this for a minute and never actually done it yet. But I actually saw these two twin sisters talking about doing a race and they were training separately.
Wait,
and then they just had a race. I think the older sister won. So I was like,
you said, you know what?
Gotta represent the older sisters. So
honestly, give us a year to train.
Yeah. Because didn't who was it, the Paul brothers? Did they fight against each other or no?
I don't think so.
I feel like they should.
Because we would be in the same weight class.
Oh, that's true.
We're like the same build.
Well, stay tuned, y'all, because I think that could happen in the near future.
Well, maybe,
year to 2 years from now.
Once you're fully healthy.
I'll just have to wear a helmet,
Oh my gosh. Not the brain damage already. Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe we can't fight, Malia. Because if I give you more brain damage... This is so unserious, guys. No,
there's no way we're talking about this right now. That's actually wild.
That if you're a sister, this is a warranted conversation.
No, yeah, because we be joking. That's okay, but only we can joke, because if y'all were to say something in the comments about brain damage, I would block you immediately. Blocked immediately. It's like, okay, yeah, that's funny, but like not when you say it.
When I say it, it's fine. It's fine. So today's episode, we were supposed to talk about long distance relationships.
And if you guys remember episode 2, I asked you a question about how long have you and John been like apart from each other? Like how many days? And you said like 17. Oh.
Yeah.
Because some people, like, if they're doing long distance.
Well, you know what I just was watching? Have you been keeping up with Gabby's wedding?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, guys. If you guys probably follow Gabby. She's so cute. She makes the best content. Her and her fiance, they just got married. I guess her now husband.
They're so cute.
Girl, congrats to y'all. I saw their journey. He lived in London. She lives in Miami. He almost could not come to the States for the wedding because he didn't have his passport. For some reason, like, I don't know exactly what happened.
That's
but
so
like,
stressful.
I was watching TikTok and I'm like, wait, I need to see like all of this wedding comment.
That would send me into a spiral. I'd be like, oh my gosh, no.
I know. I was like waiting for all the wedding content to load in. I was like, did y'all get married? Like, what happened? I was on the edge of my seat, but they got married, you guys. It was beautiful. I saw all the videos. Congratulations, you guys. But that made me rethink our long distance episode. You saying that and then also like watching all that content unfold.
Well, no, okay, wait, here's the tea. She wanted to have like a dedicated episode to long distance. You know how I'm single, dating in LA, and then Mackenzie could talk about long distance with John. I don't know if you should have a dedicated episode because like you're just gonna be saying how like, you know, you hop on a flight for an hour and then you see John. If Mackenzie's not here, she's with John. Sometimes John is out here in LA. Honestly, y'all are together like pretty often.
Usually, here's how it goes. Out of the month, he'll come here once and I'll go to Arizona once. So out of 1 month, and then usually we're like 2 weeks that we don't see each other.
Aww.
Yeah. So, and then we're together.
That still sucks though.
We're together for like a week when I'm in Arizona, and then when he comes to LA, we're together for like a week. So we're really together like 2 weeks out of every month, but it's 1 week in the beginning of the month, 1 week at the end of the month. I still be missing him, obviously, but I just don't feel like I'm qualified to talk about long distance advice because like, what's my advice? My advice is like when I'm sad, I go see him. Sorry, guys. That's
or you
FaceTime. What we do, okay. One thing I want to talk about long distance before we actually hop into today's episode. I was so scared before we started long distance because we've been together for 4 years now, but 3 years before we started long distance. And this man hated FaceTime. You're not trying to see my face? No, I'm just kidding. Dang. You don't like FaceTime? And I get it because when I lived in Arizona, we saw each other every single day. So if we FaceTime...
Yes, like, there's no need to FaceTime.
Even if we would go on like work trips or something, or if we were out of town, we would FaceTime every once in a while, but it's not like every night we would be on FaceTime. I'll see you in a couple days when you're back in Arizona. But that made me so nervous to do long distance because I was like, that's going to be our only form of communication.
Yeah.
Like, he said he doesn't like FaceTime. We are on FaceTime from 10 p.m. to 9 a.m. every single night. I kid you not. So
wait, y'all fall asleep on FaceTime?
Yes.
That's cute.
And we literally say good morning before he starts work. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it is.
And
it
nauseating
really
at the same time.
You said what?
I said and nauseating at the same time. I'm kidding.
When you are in your lover girl era.
Yeah, wait, because we... Not that it's a bad thing either, because, like, everyone's obviously happy for you. But, like, we were at brunch with our girls, and we were all talking about dates and, like, going on dates, and everyone's kind of love life. A little all over the place, like, nothing too certain. I actually recently just went on a date on Sunday. I forget what the topic was, but Mackenzie's like, yeah, I don't have to worry about that. Like, John is just so great. And we're like...
I don't really like talking about my relationship with my girlfriends. Especially if they're, like, in the dating scene right now, because the dating scene is treacherous. And I'm not trying to be like, oh my gosh, like, I'm in this great, amazing relationship. Like what you just said.
No, but I'm just, like, giving you a hard time. John's the best.
Well, and then people ask me, they're like, that's why I just be usually staying quiet until if somebody asks me, then I'll tell them.
Yeah.
But if no one's asking me, I'm gonna just stay quiet, for real.
Obviously, you guys met when you were 17.
John was my first boyfriend.
That's crazy.
Is that not
But that's
crazy?
so cute, though. It's like y'all met in high school, not at the same high school, but, you know, during that time.
Yeah. Because you know what's crazy, too? We're at the age where we can get married. Like, I still be feeling like a child. And that leads us into today's episode. That transition was fire.
That was so good.
Y'all.
Me and you be switching off sometimes. Because I'm
The
like, wait, I didn't even
segue.
mean to do that, but then it just naturally happened.
I didn't even mean to do that either. Today, we're talking about adulting.
Adulting.
Uh-huh.
Are we qualified to talk about this? Because we've only been adults for a few years. Adulting can be a little ghetto. Not gonna lie.
So are Malia and I passing or failing at this thing called adulthood? That's really what we're going to be getting into.
Or are we just scraping by?
I feel like we got our shit together.
We
Honestly, I'm pretty proud of us. It was not always this way.
And I feel like
Guys.
there's ups and downs too. Because sometimes I'm like, wow, I feel like a child. And then there's other times where I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm an adult. I can do what I want.
It'd be depending on the day for me and also who I'm talking to. What was the moment where you realized, damn, we in this? We were actually adults. Like,
I feel like there's constant moments. Like as I like when we got our first apartment, I was like, oh shoot, like we're adults. And we were only 10 minutes away. So like we
From
were
our
still really
parents.
close. But also moving to LA too. We're actually on our own.
When I realized that we were adults and we were like, oh, it's me and you, like we in this, was when you had to get an MRI. And we found out that we weren't covered with our parents' health insurance anymore once we moved to LA. All Malia's health stuff started happening. MRI, spinal tap. Do you know how much a freaking MRI is without insurance? We have insurance now. Let me preface.
Don't worry, guys.
We're adulting, okay? That's why we're doing this episode, okay?
And why is insurance so expensive? And I don't know if it was, I think the spinal tap was more than the MRI.
Oh.
I actually don't remember. It was in the thousands. So either way, it was still a lot.
I remember when I had a hemiplegic migraine like 2-3 years ago. So we were still living in Arizona. I went into the emergency room, thought I was having a stroke, wasn't having a stroke. Basically, I went into the ER. By the time they saw me, all my symptoms went away. So like the half of my body being tingly, not being able to feel my tongue. What else happened? The like persistent headache, all of that went away as I was in the waiting room because I was in the waiting room for so long. All they did was check my blood pressure. They billed me $1,000.
Yeah, the ER be doing that.
What?
Because they have basically
my blood pressure.
That's
Are you
insane.
kidding?
That's insane.
Like, I'm not even over exaggerating. I can literally show y'all the receipts. And my mom came in with me and she was like, you know, like you need to see the neurologist, or like the neurologist basically. And I was like, honestly, Mom, like I feel completely fine right now. I know I didn't have a stroke because I had a hemiplegic migraine before. So like I knew what was happening, but you know, you still want to go to the ER just in case. Like what if you are having a stroke? Doctor went like this to my eyes.
That's crazy.
Moved his finger from right to left.
If you go to the ER, like you're kind of put in spots to like how bad you need to be seen. So it's like if you're actually dying, like they're gonna see you first.
Well, yeah, if your arm's like off,
yeah,
of your not
which
attached to
kind
your
of sucks
body.
because it's like then if something like that, what if that was an actual stroke?
Well, if it was an actual stroke, they probably would have charged me more than $1,000. Let's just say that.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, healthcare, all that stuff is so expensive.
I think another thing that surprised me about adulthood when we first moved out was most apartments, and this was in Arizona, but I think also in California, you have to make 3 times the rent to get approved.
Yeah.
So just because you have enough money to pay, because that's why we waited a little bit to move out of Mom and Dad's house, because we were like, okay, like let's really save, make sure that we can move out.
And they look at your bank statements, so they check to make sure that you make more. And it's like, okay, if I can afford rent, and then also you need a little bit more for, you know, food and all the extra stuff.
You said food and all the extra stuff.
But like 3 times is crazy.
3 times is crazy. Yeah. You don't want to spend all of your income on your living.
Yeah.
On where you
Well, because they want to make sure that you're going to be able to pay for your entire lease. So
yeah.
It makes sense, but also it's like a little crazy.
Entire lease, water, utilities, electricity, like all of that stuff too. Like you have to have internet. All that stuff be adding up. So,
and then I guess it's just like a safety thing too. Like if you ended up not getting paid for like, if you had like a month where it was kind of crazy or you got
laid off.
Yeah, you got laid off or something like that. Like then it's like, okay, well, you know, I got next month's rent.
Because you make 3 times the rent. Okay. But it's still like crazy. I did not know that before we moved out. I was like, when we were looking at apartments and then they said that, I was like, damn.
I know.
I'm like,
I was like, are you for real?
Let's live with Mom and Dad a little longer because.
Yeah. And nothing wrong with that either.
No, for real. Honestly, it's, if you're able to, because I know some people aren't able to live with their parents, but like if you're able to stack up your bread and save a little bit.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Because it's expensive. There's so many things that you don't even think about when you're trying to, like, I don't know, start your life.
Oh, speaking of, you don't really think about taxes.
Yeah.
We're upon tax season right now. Speaking of the freaking devil. Well, okay, not the devil. Like, it's good to pay your taxes, but.
No, but the IRS, low-key, like, no beef with y'all. Like, if y'all are watching, we're good. But,
we're locked in over here.
But I'm a little scared of you guys.
Malia actually paid me to do her taxes.
Okay, this was once, though. Okay. This was 1 year, and I was just like, I don't know why the finance stuff stresses me out. And obviously taxes is very stressful, too, as some of you guys know.
Real.
But I was like, I don't want to do this. So basically, I paid Mackenzie, and the way I paid her was Sephora was having their spring sale. So I paid for her entire Sephora order, and it was a hefty order. So it evened out.
it evened out. I was like, no, literally, I remember this conversation.
That's crazy.
I remember this conversation because you were like, dang, I don't want to do my taxes. And I was like, dang, I already finished mine. And then you were like,
and I was like, shoot.
And I was like, oh, I mean, I could do them for you. And you were like, really? And I was like, yeah, but that comes with price.
And I was like, you know what? I'm willing to pay.
And I was like,
anything.
Oh, I'm sure you are. And Malia's trying to negotiate with me. And I was like, oh, like, what if you got my Sephora cart? And she was like, what if I paid for half of it? And I was like, I mean, you can do your taxes. That's fine with me. You can do your taxes.
Also, I have like what is the top?
Rouge.
I'm a Rouge member, y'all. So, you know, I spend a lot of coin on Sephora.
Your face?
So, you know, it worked out.
Yeah.
It worked out good.
Yeah.
But yeah, taxes are so stressful. I absolutely hate doing taxes. And it's just stressful.
Yeah.
Stressful time. And it's good to be ahead. I feel like if anything, it's like it's good to plan for all of that. Not wait till the last minute.
So one thing for Malia and I, since we're self-employed, we're technically like independent contractors. So no money is withheld from our payments, which means when April comes around, we have to write a check to the IRS. But now we learned our lesson. We pay quarterly payments.
Yes.
So
we're just starting to do that too.
Yeah.
Because we got a finance team and everything. So it's like now we're making things more official.
Yeah.
Because we haven't done that in the past 4 years.
Also, we made some like terrible mistakes. Okay, basically, since we have our business and there's 2 individuals, the business is separate from Malia and I as individuals. So what we learned is that you never want to commingle individual personal finances with your business finances. And we ran that up.
Yeah,
y'all.
we commingled everything.
We commingled okay.
Because basically now we have a separate credit card for like, okay, this is strictly for business expenses. But before it was like, oh, let's buy this, and this, and we'll write it off. But it's so chaotic where it's like you have to go through all of your bank statements and go through every single month, 12 months of all of your purchases. And that's a nightmare.
Yeah, our finance team, they hated us for a minute because
I'm sure.
We were 18 and 19. We had no idea what we were doing.
No one tells you this stuff.
No one tells you this stuff.
Also, I think being in the social media world, it's kind of like it's not your typical job. So a lot of people also wouldn't know how to like tell you what to do. I mean, some people do.
Sometimes
You have to find the right finance team. And they have to know what they're doing because it's definitely not like your traditional job.
Because some CPAs, they will tell you like, oh, this is not technically a deduction, versus some CPAs will be like, no, like your job is very unconventional. I'm like, are we keeping this in the episode? Because what if the IRS does watch this?
Well, hey.
You said, hey. Basically, guys, we have people helping us now. And that leads me to another point. Even though you're independent and you have to do a lot of things alone, don't be afraid to ask for help because you don't know everything. No matter how grown I think I am, never too grown to learn. Because
and ask questions.
That's the easiest way to start declining, is when you think you know what you're doing and there's other people who, for one, are way more educated than you on the topic, but two, like having mentors in different categories in life. Like, I feel like mom is like my mom mentor. Like, I would want to be just like mom as a mom, you know?
Yeah.
Like, mom is just like,
she's such a queen.
That girl, like, she is so compassionate, so kind, so selfless. Like, she's just an amazing mother. And then even like our finance mentor now, like, he gives us so much business advice. And I kind of think of him as like an older uncle, an uncle mentor.
Well, he tells us the stuff that like we should already be doing. But it's like, to Kenzie and I were like, oh, like, we should be doing that? What?
Yeah, I'm like, wait, I never thought about it that way.
And it's like, okay, that makes sense. Like, to him, he's probably like, these girls are dumb.
Yeah, for real. And I'm like, we are just learning. We are so young. But I feel like that's why it's so important to have mentors in a lot of different aspects. Like, even my trainer sometimes be spitting bars. Just never be opposed to listening to other people. Even if they're younger than you or older than you. I can learn from Lil Sis KK.
Facts. I was just going to say that.
Lil Sis KK.
And Max, too.
Yeah, Max is so wise. I listen to him and I'm like, where did you come from?
I know, because he mellowed out. He used to not be, like, that chill.
Oh, my gosh. I feel like he's on ADHD medication, right?
Mm-hmm.
okay, he used to not be on ADHD medication, and he was like so spontaneous, I feel like.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh my gosh, who is this man that's my brother? You know?
That's so weird. As like another thing about growing up and being an adult is like your siblings becoming adults too. And Michaela's she's gonna be a senior next year.
It's really interesting
crazy.
seeing people get older.
Well, like, okay, even as an older sister, seeing your younger siblings, like, Max used to be shorter than me, and now he's, like, this tall dude, and, like, a grown man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's crazy.
And Michaela, she used to, like, knock on our door when we were hanging out with our friends, and we'd be like, Michaela! Go, like, stop! Go!
And now we're, like, besties.
And now we love hanging out with Michaela.
Yeah.
So today we're gonna go through what should have gone in the adulting syllabus. What we should have learned about adulting.
Saying no or having boundaries. Also, I feel like I can relate to this because I can be too nice sometimes, especially growing up. I was like way too nice, and I feel like people can like walk all over you. And I feel like now I'm learning this, but it's like, okay, it's okay to say no. It's okay to have boundaries in any relationship that you have, because people take advantage of that and
Stick up for yourself.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, let me not. I think now I'm learning to not hold back on like what I think, because sometimes I just stay quiet, and sometimes that's necessary, but sometimes I'm like, dang, I wish I said something right then and there.
You know what's something for me in this realm of boundaries and saying no is authority figures.
Yeah.
Because growing up, we were raised to always be super respectful to authority, like teachers, people that are older than us. So as I got older and I kind of stepped into adulthood, I was like, oh, like if somebody's older than me, they're right. That's not true at all. Like,
and you can have different opinions without it being like an argument. It's just like, okay.
But like if somebody who is older than you tells you to do something, that doesn't mean you have to do it or listen to them. Like you can... It doesn't have to be beef or anything like that, like you said, and you can still be respectful. But I think that for me, that was something I really had to learn, was if I don't necessarily agree with somebody who's older than me or want to do what they're asking me to do, it's more than okay for me to take a step back and say, no. I don't.
Or checking people too.
Our finance guy, we actually had a question for him. I was like, if somebody's making a microaggression to me in the business world, how do I check them without coming across as rude? And he said, ask them to repeat what they said. You want to make sure that you fully understand what they said. And they're going to have to repeat it and explain to you why it was appropriate for them to say that without you saying, why did you just say that? Like, blah, 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 blah. And I was like,
see, that's my issue too, because when I want to speak up, I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit scared that I might have a little attitude, or like the way I deliver something or the tonality is not the nicest. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, okay, in my head I'm like, oh girl, what did you just say? But in the real world I'm like, okay, let me be like, okay, what did you mean by that?
It doesn't have to be like my face. I could be smiling when I say it. And not in like a sarcastic way, but just
you're like, what did you mean by that? Oh my gosh.
Not in a sarcastic way.
But it's like, okay, it's not the end of the world. And I'm speaking to myself. It's not the end of the world if you disagree with somebody, or like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. And if they get pressed about it, it's like, why are you pressed about someone checking you when you said something kind of stupid?
Yeah, because for me, like, you never get checked. You're always going to have your same thought process. And I don't think that's okay.
Well, and even if they don't change from that comment, at least they know not to say it around you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's my thing. I'm like, okay, why did you feel comfortable saying that around me? And I think a lot of the times it's because Mackenzie and I are young. Like, sometimes people think they can get away with saying certain things, and
I realized they can.
Yeah.
Because we don't check them.
Mm-hmm. I'm usually I'll give them like a little side eye and then go about my day.
Or we won't say anything, and then as soon as Malia and I get in the car, we were like, did you think that was like low-key racist? Or did you think that was a microaggression? Or
like whatever they said was kind of rude.
Yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, that was kind of weird. Yeah. And I think for me, sometimes I second guess things. I'm like, oh, they didn't mean it like that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't hurt to.
And it should make them think a little bit. Like, why did you think that was okay to say?
You know what I've also learned? If I'm uncomfortable, why am I afraid to make somebody else uncomfortable that put me in this uncomfortable situation? In high school, Malia and I, we got called the N-word a lot. That's why I have like a little bit of trauma like associated with Arizona, and I know it's not the whole state. We never checked people when we were younger. And I think now I've been put in situations where I've seen people from high school that are still racist. And I told myself, like, I don't want to allow this type of behavior. Because I think when we were younger, for one, we didn't really know how to go about it.
Yeah, because, like, what do you say? I think for them, too, it was, like, they're playing it off as a joke, and then we're just like, oh, ha, 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 and then...
But we were also 14 years old, because I think whenever I tell people that, they're like, dang, well, what did you say? And I was like, I was 14, like, I had no idea.
If we were to go back at them and be like, okay, I didn't appreciate that, or get mad, as one would, because
it's one
that's
v
so valid.
It's 1v2000.
Yeah, so it's like,
two.
If I get mad, they're gonna be like, oh, calm down, it's a joke. But either way, I wish I would have said something, because then they would have thought twice about saying something.
But now I think that brings such a good point, is like, you have to really, no one else is going to stick up for you. You have to stick up for yourself. And that's something that came with time, because for me, I always thought I was just being nice. I thought I was being like a kind person, and I didn't want people to think I was mean.
Yeah.
It's like, you're sticking up for yourself. You have boundaries. Like, you don't have to let people walk all over you to be considered nice.
Yeah. And I also learned that in relationships too, like romantic relationships, because I feel like if you don't stick to your boundaries, then the guy knows that he can kind of mess with you, you know? And I feel like I kind of learned that the hard way, because I had like kind of a toxic relationship, and looking back on it, I was like, oh my gosh, like he was totally manipulating me. And I realized that's why I obviously left the relationship. But I think the reason why that happened is because I didn't have my firm boundaries in the beginning, or I didn't stick to them, and I was like, oh, well, you know, we can kind of let this one slide. It's like, no, girl, don't let it slide. You know?
Yep.
That's what I've learned now, because if I'm going on a date and I see something immediately, I'm like, you're blocked. Have you seen those videos on TikTok?
Where they're like, you're blocked?
This guy keeps popping up on my For You page, and he does these skits of like girls that will block guys for petty things. And I wouldn't block a guy for being petty, but like on a first date, you can kind of read someone. And at least now for me, I feel like I'm really good at it, where like I meet someone off the bat, and if they're bullshitting me, I can tell immediately. Like it's not that hard. I think when I was younger, maybe not. But now I'm like, okay, if you go on multiple dates, like if a guy kind of just re-says the same thing that you just said, like, why are you... be independent? Like, why are you trying to be me?
What is it, a yes man?
Yes, because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, they're just trying to say whatever they can to like either sleep with you or just make you agree and have something in common. It's like, okay, we don't have to have everything in common. Like, you don't have to say the same thing that I just said.
Have you ever had your own independent thought?
Probably not. And then you're blocked. Like,
you said, and then you're
not
blocked.
actually, but like, I don't know. I think that took a turn. But
No,
that's why
that's
it's so
real.
important to have boundaries. And I think now that I've realized that and I have very strict boundaries, no man is going to mess with me. Especially if you want like a long-lasting relationship, or like because I think a lot of the times like people can kind of get into situationships, and that's happened to me before. But that's because I would let stuff slide. Now I'm not trying to get in no situationship.
I feel like boundaries are so different from like a list of what you want out of a partner. Because I think some people can get it a little twisted. I feel like a boundary, for example, wouldn't be like, oh, I'm only going to go out with a guy who, like, is taller than me. Like, that's, like, on your list of, like...
Oh, no. That's like, very superficial.
That's superficial.
Yeah.
So I feel like a boundary is like, okay, if I say no and someone doesn't respect me when I say no...
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk to you again, even if it's a little thing.
Or if the boundary's like, we're not going to sleep together until, like, 2 months from now. Or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, okay... Obviously, that's
a boundary.
We're sticking to that.
You said we're sticking to that. Or
unless you decide otherwise.
You can even see, though, how people react to you putting up a boundary with small things. For example, like, let's say you're on a date and you're like, oh, I'm not drinking tonight. I'm not feeling like it. And they're like, oh, no, just have, like, one espresso martini.
Yeah.
I said I didn't want to drink tonight. Yeah. So that's kind of, like, my boundary.
People, okay, I've never been on a date where a guy was weird about that. They're always like super chill, like, oh yeah, get your mocktail, girl, whatever. but like they don't care. But I've been on dating apps before where people will message. Some guy asked me, like, I think it was like, what was my favorite type of drink, and I in the past was a tequila girl, and then I said something about how, like, oh, I probably won't go out and drink. Usually I'll say it on the date, but it kind of just came up naturally in conversation. And then he, like, never talked to me again. And I was like, oh, okay.
Honestly, though, That's low-key.
You did me a favor.
That's low-key real, though, because if you have a different lifestyle than somebody, you
Yeah.
might not be compatible.
Yeah.
Like, if someone's, like, a big partier and they want to go out all the time and drink, then maybe you're just not compatible because right now you're in, like, a sober journey. And
Yeah. Which it is tough, though.
I think another thing is you don't owe anyone an explanation or a reason as to why you don't want to do something. No is enough.
No.
For example, like, even if you didn't want to talk about, like, your health journey last year with somebody as an explanation for why you don't drink, you saying that you don't drink should be enough of a reason.
That's so true.
To end the conversation.
Because I always feel like I have to explain to people, but then I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of, like, my entire health journey. Because it's such a long conversation, and you're so right. Like, me not drinking should be enough. But people are so curious about it. They're like, oh, why don't you drink? Or, like, usually it's if we're going out, if we're at, like, at a bar or club or something.
But at the same time, what if you were, like, a recovering alcoholic? You don't know somebody's story.
Yeah.
And what if that really triggered them to ask them about that? Like, I don't know. What if?
That's true. It's like, okay.
Let's say you don't want to hang out with someone. Maybe you're not, like, that close anymore, but they've been reaching out to you, hitting you up. You don't have to give an explanation always. And I feel like sometimes when I was younger, I would always think, like, oh, well, I have to, like, make up an excuse as to why I don't want to hang out with somebody. I'm like, that's kind of dumb.
Yeah, it's like, maybe I just need a me day. Because I hate when I'm in a terrible mood and then I'm going to go hang out with somebody. Like, I do not want to be in a pissy mood when I'm hanging out with my friend. I'd rather just stay home.
Or if you're feeling, like, really down or really anxious or, like, a little bit depressed. If you're not in the right headspace and you don't want to hang out with somebody,
it's better to stay home, in my opinion. Because I feel like I've done that more often than not. Just because, I don't know, sometimes I am feeling anxious or whatever it is.
Number 2 on what should have gone on the adulting syllabus. Self-care and mental health. In the past, like, 5 years, I honestly feel like the conversation has really picked up.
Opened up.
About mental health.
Yeah.
But it's not always been that way. I remember when we were kids, we would hang out with our friends all the time. Every day after school. And looking back, I'm like, dang, that's crazy. Because now, I feel like I have to be really intentional on the days that I want to hang out with people. Because I am really stressed.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on. We're really busy.
Well, there's more factors. Because, like, when you're in school, it's basically just schoolwork.
Less
maybe
responsibilities.
A sport. And then you hang out with people all day. And I feel like you're not really thinking about it like that, but it's just kind of like the circumstance. I like having my space to, like, recharge a little bit, and then I'm like, I'm on when I'm hanging out with my friends.
Being in a consistent routine and having structure in your life is so important. And honestly, something that I'm still building and learning now. Like, what works for me. Because it's easy to see somebody's Instagram morning routine and be like, oh, her life looks nice, I'm gonna do that too. What works for your favorite influencer and their morning routine, that works for them, but that might not work for you. Also, it might not even work for them, and they might be faking their morning routine.
That's
but
true.
Like,
who's that guy with, like, the crazy morning routine? Have you seen that?
Gosh, he put his face in the bowl of water and ice with, like, the $40 bottle of water.
Yeah,
I saw that.
And then he wakes up at, like, 3 a.m. to start his day.
Yeah, and then he, like, goes and starts running.
If I woke up at 3 a.m. every day, I think I'd be dead. That's insane. Max actually sent me that today. This is my brother, but he won't DM me or, like, text me for months. Like, it'll be 6 months will go by, and then all of a sudden he randomly sends me, like, a reel. And I'm like, oh, hey, Max.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
How you doing, bro?
No, hi, how are ya? Just a random reel.
And it's always some random, like, shirtless guy. Like, it's...
Oh, Max.
Like,
you gotta love him. That's
hilarious.
Honestly. You gotta love him.
I was like, I know, I get it, I'm single, but, like, you didn't have to mention it.
Oh my gosh. But I think, like, routines are super important, and finding what works for you.
It's so easy to get out of a routine, too. Especially with working from home, it can be really easy to just kind of, like, you know, roll into your day slowly. And if every day doesn't look the same, that can also be kind of hard to get into a routine, especially with traveling. Like, I think that's a big thing, too, is, like, how do you get back from a routine when you're traveling, you know?
That's true. Because I feel like if you don't jump into that routine, you're never going to get back.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've learned. If I don't unpack my suitcase,
it's never going to get
within,
done.
like, 2 days. I'm not the type to be like, I just landed off my flight, let me unpack my suitcase. But I have, like, a 2 to 3 day rule now.
Because I used to be so bad at that. I used to leave my suitcase for, like, a week. Maybe even 2.
Oh my gosh.
Because, like, okay, if it's, like, vacation clothes, it's like, I never wear that unless I'm going on vacation.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't really need to have those clothes. But, like, why is it sitting on the floor in my bedroom? for a week.
Yep.
Maybe 2.
And even small things, like a routine doesn't have to be, I feel like people kind of glamorize very extensive routines.
Yes,
especially on
that's so
social
true.
media. It's like, I have a 15-step skincare routine. Again, that might work for some people, but like for me, if my routine is over 3 to 5 steps for my skincare, I'm probably not going to do it every day.
Yeah, because then it can get overwhelming and then it's unrealistic. Like, I'm not going to be doing that every day.
Seriously.
I already have such a very long routine. I feel like with my health, I have so many supplements that I have to take, and it sounds easy, but then when you have to take like 10 vitamins at night, it kind of kills the mood. Like,
And then 10 vitamins in the morning.
yeah. Like, there's a lot of things I have to do for my health, and it kind of sucks, but also like it's important. So
No,
it keeps me motivated to stick to it, but sometimes like I really don't feel like taking my vitamins. And then if I don't take them, I'll feel terrible. And yeah,
it's like a little reality check. You're
yeah.
like, oh,
I'm like, yeah, wait, I'm super anxious. Need to take my vitamins.
Because your routine, like you do like the castor oil packs at night.
Yeah.
You do a lot of like you do the dry brushing.
Well, that's been newer, because before it was just I would take my supplements morning and night, and then ever since everything kind of changed, I would say in the past year, with like the neurological stuff and then also the parasite cleanse and everything, I'm working with a doctor now that's going to help me prep my body for a parasite cleanse again. But I have to make sure that my body's like, my lymphatic system's moving. And yeah, so now I have to do like a castor oil pack at night, and I usually do it for like an hour, but now I have to do it every night. Before I was doing it like 3 times a week. Now it's like, okay, I have to do it every night. And then dry brush before I go into the sauna, and I do that like 3 to 4 times a week.
Dang.
But I have to take these supplements before I get into the sauna, so it's like I don't have to do that forever, but the morning and night supplements I have to do, so that's not that bad. And then she also wants me to like I had to get this reverse osmosis water filter. Like, what even is that? But basically I had to get it because she was like, oh, you need to be drinking like pure water.
I'm sure
it sounds silly, but like basically there's a lot of like chemicals and harsh heavy metals in the water. So she was like, you need to be filtering that out and having clean water, so all those toxins don't mess up your, because it can affect you, especially with someone with like thyroid issues and hormonal issues. That's why it's such a huge problem in America, because like we're constantly eating and drinking toxins that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
Well, and, like microplastics. I didn't even know what that was either, and I was like, what even is all this stuff?
I said, what are we doing?
I know, but if it helps my health, then it's worth it.
Because I remember you telling me today, you were like, don't ever let me get water from the fridge. Like, if you see me getting water from the fridge, yell at me. And I was like, I got you.
Yeah, because I told her that I wasn't as consistent with it, because I had a call with her like a couple days ago, and she was like, girl, you need to like, you can't be drinking the fridge water. And I was like, okay. I feel like when my self-care routine is on point, my mental health is also, it helps with my mental health, if that makes sense.
That's so true.
Because sometimes when I'm like really depressed or something, I'll get out of my routine, and then I kind of have to like force myself to get back into a routine. Because like even the like very
mundane,
simple, like mundane things that you should be doing every day, all of a sudden feels like a very big task, when it's like it's not even that hard. But like when you're depressed, you're kind of in like a different mindset.
I've had circumstantial depression before, when like a circumstance is really bad and like it's a hard time, and I've had like intense feelings of sadness, but I don't think I would ever say that I've struggled with depression, because I've seen really truly what that looks like. For one, like you would never want to like self-diagnose with that, but like my falling out of routine can kind of stem from laziness sometimes.
Yeah.
Versus like, I think as a sister, seeing how you have struggled with depression before, like I would never claim that I've felt that before.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think for everyone it looks different too. Yeah, it's tough, because I feel like it definitely does look different, because there's some days where I'm just being lazy and I'm like, girl, like, get it together. Like, you're fine.
You said
but then there's other days, like, if you are mentally struggling or have depression and anxiety, then it's like, okay, like, it feels like the end of the world to, like, do certain things, or even just, like, socializing.
I'm in therapy now, and I think I have such a different mindset around therapy. Like, therapy can be learning about your past trauma, about your childhood, what's gone on in your life that's shaped you into who you are now, and get a better understanding of why you are the way that you are. That's why I go to therapy.
That's so valid.
I think for me, it's really trying to understand the way my mind works and the way I show up in my relationships. Because I want to be like the best version of myself for my partner, for like working with my sister, all the people in my life. I want to be able to be the best version of myself. But if I don't even understand how my mind works and why I am the way that I am, it's really hard to show up in that way for other people.
No, that makes sense. I feel like I can kind of relate to that too, because like it's good to not wait till you're at your absolute lowest to go to therapy, because I feel like I've done that before. That's how I initially got into therapy, but then moving around switching therapists is like you don't want to have to go through that like back and forth process of your therapist like getting to know you. I'd rather like already kind of know my therapist, like us know each other really well,
On the same page.
Yes,
yeah.
that way like if you are at your lowest and it's kind of like a not an emergency, but like if you really need that support, it's nice to already know your therapist and not have to like interview somebody and be like, is this the right person for me
when you're
like,
mentally, emotionally struggling.
because then it's like, okay, that is kind of the last thing you want to do, and then it's gonna stop you or hinder you from going to therapy. Even over the summer I had to switch therapists because my therapist couldn't see me, but luckily I found a really great therapist out here. It's been nice to have that like extra support, but I feel like it's so needed because sometimes there's things that you don't want to tell your friends or your family, and you're kind of just like, okay, I need to work on this. And like you said, understanding yourself too, and I think that's so important, to have that tool.
My reasoning for going to therapy was trying to understand my hyper independence. Because I think from a young age, you and I have been extremely independent since we were like really young, but we've always kind of like leaned on each other. And I think this past year I was just really analyzing why my brain works the way that it does, and why I want to like take care of everything, why I want to kind of like control every aspect of my life when it's not attainable to control every aspect in your life.
Yeah.
Because even like I was talking to my therapist and I was like, I am so hard on myself for like missing one thing, or like if I'm late to something, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I could have just left 5 minutes earlier. I didn't have to do this and that. And she's like, why are you like that? And I was like,
you're like, girl, that's why I'm
that's
here.
Why I'm here. I'm like, I don't know. But she asked the right questions for me to come up with the conclusion myself. That's why I love therapy. With the right therapist, they're going to ask you questions that you never thought to ask yourself.
Yeah. Because I understand that
Mindset.
too. It's like, okay, if I can really understand myself, then I can know how to communicate better. I think that's something that I've been working on too, where it's like, okay, I need to get comfortable with opening up to people and not being so like closed off. Because then like even for like Kenzie and I, sometimes I'm a little bit shy to even tell her things that I'm struggling with. And now I'm better at it because I've been working on that specifically, where it's like, okay, Mackenzie's not going to be able to tell if I'm down or sad or depressed. It's like, okay,
Right.
I have to actually verbalize it. And obviously someone that has struggled with depression and anxiety, it's really hard to verbalize when you're struggling, which is nice to have a therapist because I feel comfortable opening up to her. And then it makes you, it kind of desensitizes it a little bit. So it's like, okay, like, yeah, I am feeling anxious today. And the more I do it, the more I get better at it and the more it comes natural to me.
Yeah, I think you and I probably relate to this. For one, the hyper independence, I don't really like asking for help.
Yes.
You're like that
oh
too.
my gosh.
For sure. You do
It's
not,
actually terrible. It's
like,
actually so bad.
Yeah.
Because like even if that's actually crazy. Even like with dating too. Sometimes like a guy will do something, I'm like, oh, I can do it. It's like, okay, well actually you can help me do that. Like you can accept help. Like it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And I
That's
think
crazy.
that's something have you seen those TikToks? My hyper independent girlfriend like finally letting me like
Do something.
do things for her and help her.
Yeah.
I think that's been such a good learning curve for like John and I too, because I am so used to doing like providing for myself and doing everything for my life since I was so young. We started working at a really young age. I know we talked about this in the last episode, but like we were working at a daycare, we were working at the water park. Like we were working like 3 different jobs at one time at one point. And and
we were kids too. Like we were 16.
We were kids, but like I had this like I have to do it myself.
Yeah.
Like if I will not ask for help. even, I know we talked about this last episode, but going into like Restaurant Depot and carrying those 50 pounds of bags, do you know how many men asked if they could help? Just like trying to be
and
nice.
the kids are like, no, we got it.
No, seriously, like so many people would ask us like, hey, like, do you need help? And this was a weekly, if not multiple times a week thing where we would carry heavy ass bags into the popcorn shop. And
so
literally, like, I would just never accept help. And I still am trying to learn why I'm so independent in that way. But even in a relationship aspect, like, that's part of the reason I wanted to go to therapy, was to learn why I have a hard time asking people for help. And I think it's really important to ask for help because you can't do everything yourself.
Yeah.
We're humans. Like, we need community.
Yes. And especially in a relationship too. Like, you want to be able to like help each other with your struggles.
And that's something I've gotten a lot more comfortable with, honestly, which is so cool because, you know, John and I have been together for 4 years where we've really learned how both of us move.
Yeah.
You know? So it's really cool to see our relationship kind of change in that way. Because I know that's something that he's like obviously really wants to do. Is,
yeah.
Like, kind of like take care of things that I don't need to take care of.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I remember we were literally going on a hike with one of our friends. And so it was me, Malia, and then our friend, and then John. We all went on a hike together. And John was like, oh, the AC started like blowing really fast. And I was like, this keeps happening. Like, the AC keeps blowing like so fast and I can't control the AC. And he was like, oh, I'll make an appointment for you to go like take your car in. And then my friend was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. Like, that's so sweet. And I was like, I know, like, he's so sweet. And that's something like that I'm just really grateful for, that he really does. He treats me so well in that way. Not to brag.
No, it's the little things though. Like, that's so cute. And I feel like it should be that way too.
Yeah.
The thoughtfulness.
Yes, he's very thoughtful and selfless in so many ways. And when I look back, I'm like, why did I feel like I needed to make
like,
the
no,
appointment?
I got it.
Or like, you know, it's just like, okay, why? And I think it really does come from only thinking that you can trust yourself.
That's so real. Yeah.
That's really, I think for me, that's where I came to the realization of, was like, why do I feel like I can only trust myself? And like, no one else is trustable. When I've been in a relationship with my boyfriend for how many years and I know he's trustworthy and I know he has my best interest at heart, like, why is there that disconnect?
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Therapy is sometimes looked down on. Like, dang, you need that much help that you have to pay someone hourly to talk to you? Like, girl, it's
I get in my head about that too, and I'm like, if you really think about it, it's like I'm paying someone to listen to me talk. And you're like, oh wait, that's kind of sad. But also, like, no, they're helping you understand yourself.
They have the tools.
Yeah.
To, for one, better understand yourself, but two, change certain things you didn't know you needed to change.
And healthy coping skills. That's one thing that I've really gotten out of therapy too. Is like, how can I cope in a healthy way and not like spiral into like a negative way of thinking? Because I think, especially with depression and anxiety, you can kind of spiral into that. And therapy has helped me so much with not spiraling and being able to kind of like handle it in a healthy way. So
that probably has taken time.
For sure. I feel like I'm still learning it, but it's good to have tangible tools where like, oh, like let me try this instead of, you know, doing something crazy. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I know for me, like, I was talking to, maybe I shouldn't say my therapist's name. Not me outing her.
You're like, hey girl.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not allowed to do that. One day I was talking with her about how I can get overwhelmed very easily and overstimulated with usually work.
Yeah.
Which I know you've seen. Malia's laugh. But I was talking to her about that and she was like, have you ever just taken a walk when you feel overstimulated? And I was like, no, I haven't. I was like, oh,
you're like, that's actually life-changing.
I was like, wow, taking a walk, that's a great idea.
Why is walking though so therapeutic? Because I'll do that too. If I'm like super stressed, I'm like, okay, I can't talk to somebody right now. You're pissing me off. Let me just go on a walk.
Sometimes I really just need time to myself because I don't want to take it out on other people. Yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes I will.
Or working out too. I feel like working out has really helped me. It's a good outlet.
That's why I work out so hard. I feel like I'm fighting demons in the gym sometimes. And
isn't everybody though?
Yeah. That's honestly why I kind of want to get into boxing. Like, I really think
we're bringing this back. Okay.
we're bringing this back. And it's not that I have to fight you.
No, but we'll have to do that eventually.
I want to fight something or someone.
Okay, wait. I have a question. This is kind of... Have you ever journaled before?
Yes. But it's never gotten to the routine aspect.
No, same.
Like, I have journaled before, but for me, for some reason, and I know it works for so many people, and maybe I'm just not to that level of adulthood yet, where it's gonna work for me. Maybe I need a few more months, maybe a couple years to get to journaling adulthood level status. But yeah, I've definitely journaled before. The first day of 75 Hard. Oh. That was the last day that I journaled, and that was September 13th.
You remember the date too? Yeah, because I feel like I've heard, and sometimes my therapist will be like, oh, you should journal. And I was like, oh, I always forget. The only time I've ever journaled is when I'm like insanely mad and I have to write it down on paper every once in a while. So then I'll be writing in my journal and I'm like pressing really hard on the...
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Yeah, but like I'm like that mad. So like if I'm holding a pen, I start to like squeeze it and then my hand cramps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
that's the only time I ever journal. That's when I think to journal. I'm like, I'm really angry. Let me like write this down.
The only time I think to journal is...
My journal's probably so negative.
Oh.
I just think about that because it's like, today, this happened.
That's kind of real. I think the only time I've really ever journaled is when I have to have some type of like confrontational conversation with somebody and I'm writing down what I'm thinking. Because sometimes I can forget in the moment what I want to bring up.
Oh,
and
I do that too.
Good for me to like really analyze how I feel, because that's another thing for me. For the longest time, I know I felt, for example, the emotion. I know I felt sad.
Yeah.
But I didn't know why. I know I felt stressed. I know I felt overwhelmed. I know I was angry.
And you have to kind of like analyze it.
But I didn't know why. And that's something that therapy has really taught me, is to analyze how I got to those emotions.
Yeah. Me too, because I always never know how I feel either. And then I have to like rethink the whole situation. I'm like, okay, well, this is how we got there.
So journaling
That's how
would
I felt.
probably help with that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, maybe
we need to try this out.
Actually, I used to do it was like the gratitude journal.
Oh, yeah.
I liked that. I did that for a while. But
those are helpful because you kind of have prompts and it's like, it asks you the questions, so it's a little bit easier. But then if you want to like graduate to like writing down your whole day.
Yeah, that's definitely graduation level.
Yeah.
Because I like the gratitude journal because it's like, okay, write down things that you're grateful for, because I think gratitude is really important.
Yeah.
Like, I saw a video today and it was like, actually, I'm gonna pull up that video. What a privilege to struggle throughout a hard workout. What a privilege to feel nervous before trying something new. What a privilege to feel the ache of heartbreak. What a privilege to be bloated after overeating. What a privilege to shed tears your friends can wipe away. What a privilege to have loads of laundry piling up. What a privilege to have a crazy busy work schedule. Even for me, I'm like, I get so annoyed that I have to do my laundry sometimes. It's like, dang, I have clothes that I can put on my body.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes
that's so true.
The gratitude journal, as simple as it may seem, it's like you're taking the things that sometimes you take for granted and being like, dang. It's just, especially in the morning, I think for me.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let me like start my day by really being intentional with what I'm grateful for.
And starting off on a positive note.
And sometimes I feel like I can do that in my brain.
Yeah.
But actually writing it down,
it sets the tone for the day.
I'm gonna start implementing that again.
Yeah.
Because I really like that gratitude journal. I just got out of the routine. Shoot.
That's easier to keep up with too. I feel like I because I used to do the gratitude journal too.
Relationship with food. So most people, like when they go to college, when they leave their parents' house for the first time, they gain the freshman 15. We've been there. We've done that. Maybe plus 10, maybe plus 5.
Yeah, literally as soon as we moved out of our parents' place, my mom, she always made like really good home cooked meals. So then when I got to grocery shop, I was like, okay, let's get something unhealthy. And then everything turned into getting something unhealthy. And then Chick-fil-A was across the street. Yeah. And then I was like, oh wait, I can go to Chick-fil-A every day.
That sounds delicious.
That freshman 15 was added quick.
Yeah. And honestly, for me, it
probably
was
freshman 25.
It was moving, it was moving out of our parents' house, but then also relationship weight. My boyfriend can eat so much food. I'm talking like so much food and he wakes up with abs. Me,
A blessing.
if I ate a quarter of the amount of food that John eats, I would be obese. I'm not kidding.
Genetics are crazy.
Genetics are crazy.
Yeah, because I have to watch what I eat for sure.
Yeah.
Also, with all of my health issues, I have to be so careful now. But I feel like moving to LA has made it easier. I don't know. I feel like it's been a good and bad thing because I think people can also obsess about how they look out here.
Yeah.
But also with social media, I feel like that's another thing where I'm like, okay, I'm constantly looking at like all the gym girlies and everyone looks really good. But then I'm comparing myself to them, and that's also not good.
Right.
And I think it can become toxic when you're super obsessed with how you look and like your weight and everything. And I don't know, there's a good balance because obviously eating healthy is good, but
also
being
like,
obsessed is also not good.
That's a different type of unhealthy.
Yeah.
That's so valid.
Yeah.
But fast food. We would eat fast food pretty frequently.
Well, and it's because we were too lazy to cook. Like, I would cook a meal every once in a while, but it's like, okay, girl, like, you can cook a meal. Come on.
Because really what it was, we always made our breakfast and we always made our lunch, but usually, like, we would have family dinners at the end of the night.
Yeah.
When we lived with our parents. So, it's not like our mom, like, it's not like we didn't know how to cook. It was that our mom, we would always have family dinners together, and I feel like dinner is the meal that I would always buy out.
Mm-hmm.
And so breakfast and lunch I would still make because I was used to doing that. That was part of my routine when I lived with my parents. But then dinner time came around.
You're like, let me go out to eat.
Yep. And then it's also like, okay, that's really expensive to eat fast food like that. So then, Malia and I are like looking at our budget and we're like, ooh. Like, we gotta cut back
It's so
on
convenient,
this.
though, and that's the terrible part, that it's convenient.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because
it's like, oh, let me just go get my food, take me 10 minutes, come back and eat it, and then I'm full.
I think now I'm really learning what is sustainable for me and my lifestyle and how I have to move. I have to prep. I have to meal prep because if I don't, I am probably not going to have time throughout the day to make myself food.
Yeah.
And by the time dinner comes around and I'm on my computer doing work,
you're going to be hangry.
I'm going to be hangry.
And then you're not going to want to cook anything.
Exactly.
And it can't get to that point.
It cannot get to that point. Malia and I were just talking about how we have to be proactive with our hanger because if it gets to that point, it's going to get bad and it's going to get ugly.
And there's going to be fights. That's actually crazy, though. Bro, that's actually so real because now I feel like I've gotten in like a balance. So like if I know I'm going to be busy one week, either I'll meal prep or I'll get like a healthy option of a microwavable meal.
Yeah.
That way it's like, okay, I can pop it in the oven. It's still somewhat healthy and I have something to eat.
It's a quick option. I think it's good to have like meal prepped stuff that maybe takes a little bit longer. But then like you said, quick stuff you can throw in the oven, the air fryer, the microwave to make sure that if you do get to a hangry level, you're safe.
You're safe.
No,
that's been so helpful.
Okay, number 4 on our career syllabus, career and purpose and pressure. Because I feel like by the time you're 16, 17, 18, there's this societal pressure. Maybe it's from society, maybe it's from your parents or a relative, where you need to have your life figured out. You have to know your next move.
I feel like that's everyone's go-to topic too when they ask you. They're like, so like, where are you going to college, or what are you doing after high school? Or like, there's so much added pressure to know exactly what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And like, that's not really realistic because people change their careers all the time.
Well, and I think too, it is that pressure of, okay, I'm going to go to school for 4 years and pick something that I want to continue after that 4 years for the rest of my adulthood.
Yeah.
Like, that's that's kind of like, that's not realistic. Like Malia said, people change their careers all the time and no one has their life figured out. The older I get, the more I realize that nobody has their life figured out.
We're all just, and
everybody's really just pretending.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, like, when you're younger and people are asking you, maybe it's a family gathering, maybe it's some type of like after school event, people are asking you what you want to do after high school, for example. Maybe they're genuinely just curious. Maybe they're not applying pressure, but you take that as
it can feel like it
can feel subconsciously. I'm like, dang, like, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? Why does this question keep coming up when I don't know? Another pressure that's applied is maybe you're friends with people and they all know what they want to do. They have a very specific major that they're going to go into in school that they're very passionate about. That can feel like an added pressure to you subconsciously because you're comparing yourself to other people's situations.
Yeah.
And really, I think comparison, for one, like everyone says, comparison is the thief of joy, but that's so true, especially when you're talking about your career and like what you really want to do.
Yeah. Well, because I feel like too, everyone as adults too, we're all in different stages of life, even if we're the same age or like a couple years apart. Like, I feel like everyone's kind of at a different point, and that doesn't mean that you're like behind or
because your
ahead.
path looks different.
Yeah, like everyone's supposed to be in their path for a reason, and that's fine.
That's
and just because
so
it looks
true.
different doesn't mean that you're doing anything bad
But
or anything
sometimes
wrong.
it really is that subconscious yourself applying pressure to yourself.
Yeah.
And not the external
Yeah.
pressure. But it just feels that way because
you're already putting that pressure on yourself.
which is really hard.
Yeah.
And that can, I feel like that can definitely cause like mental health struggles because you feel like you're behind and you're trying to catch up to other people when it's you versus you, not you versus everyone in your class, not you versus everyone that you see on social media. It's really important to know that your race, it's not a race, but like it's you versus you. And you versus yesterday you're already ahead of yesterday you.
Number 5 is relationships and social life.
This is really hard because everyone's schedule is so busy.
Yes, and I feel like you don't realize that until you're in it, because going from high school and then like maybe college too, you're seeing people every day, you're living with your friends, or you know, you're in class with your friends every day. So it's like you're constantly being social, like we were talking about earlier. But then once you become an adult, everyone's schedules are so different, so it's hard to find time to like, hey girl, let's meet up. And then she's like, wait, no, I can't, work's going over, can we do Wednesday? And you're like, shoot, I can't do Wednesday because I have this and this going on. And they're like, what about Friday? And you're like, oh, actually, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah.
So it's tough. And then when there's like a, you know, a bigger friend group, it's even harder, you know,
because you're trying to get
everyone's schedules.
We're trying to have our friends come out to see our new townhouse. And we're like, guys, like, we want to make sure, like, everyone can come and, like, the weekend works. But everybody is so busy. And realistically, like, it's kind of unrealistic to think everyone in the friend group can come.
Yeah.
Even though it's so sad.
It's definitely harder to make time, like, with your friends as an adult because life is just so hectic.
I think that's why it's really important not to put stress on yourself or your friends. Because I've heard of relationships or friendships where people are like, oh, well, if my friend can't hang out, like, super often or when I want to, it's like a problem.
Yeah.
Again, everybody is doing such different things that it's important to not have pressure or expectations from people.
Yeah.
To be able to hang out a certain amount of times, because realistically, everybody's trying to figure out their life and what they want to do. Like,
and they can't drop everything just because you want to hang out.
For
like,
real.
girl, what are you doing?
For real. That is so true. We're gonna end this episode with Am I the Only One Who? So basically, Malia and I both made some like comments or scenarios that we do pretty frequently that may be not like the most adulty-ish. So yeah.
We'll see if these are relatable or not.
Okay, you want to get into yours first?
Sure. Okay, my first one is, am I the only one who goes to bed hungry because I'm too lazy to cook?
You're not the only one.
And it's not every night, because most of the times I'm like, okay, if I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat, you know?
Yeah.
But some nights I'm like, let me just go to bed. It depends. It depends on like the scale of laziness.
Also, I think for me, it depends on if I worked out that day.
Yes.
If I worked out, I'm eating.
Yeah.
Like, I will be,
because
like
I'll be pissed off.
I'm fighting demons in the gym.
So you need to eat.
I need to eat, or I will not be well.
No,
so it depends for me. If I worked out that day, I'm for sure gonna eat at night, even if I'm like super tired.
And for me too, I need to be better at making like a full meal instead of just like one thing. Because I think I kind of make like the girl dinner. Like sometimes I'll just have steak and then that's it. No sides. Just steak.
That is so real.
But the steak is good and I'm full, and you know what? I'm like, you know what? I'm satisfied. I'm fine. You know what? I could deal without the broccoli, but like maybe I should make some greens.
But I'm trying to have like a more protein dense diet and a little less carbs. So like steak without the rice,
it's okay.
But I definitely should incorporate some more vegetables.
Yeah.
Again, guys, We're still learning about this adulting stuff, okay? Okay.
I hope I'm not the only one, though.
Am I the only one who steals my sister's toilet paper when I run out so that I don't have to go to the store? Do you
That's
ever do that?
crazy.
Do you ever do that?
I mean, I've definitely done that before, yeah.
But that's not like a continual thing. Oh.
Usually I'm like, oh, we're out. Let me go to the store. So Kenzie be doing that to me. That's actually crazy.
Out of toilet paper, actually.
No, that's actually, I just realized there's sometimes where I'm like, dang, I'm really already out of toilet paper. It's you. It's you. You freak.
Yeah, it's me.
Okay. That's actually crazy. My next one is, am I the only one who makes a drink before any task I do? Just like a coffee or like any type of energy drink. I feel like any task that I do, if I have to like clean the house or something, I'm like, wait a second, let me stop and make a drink.
Nah.
I don't know why
Valid.
I always do that.
Valid.
No matter what I'm doing, I'm like, okay, let me go to the gym, grab a drink. I have a caffeine addiction, so.
It'll either be like an energy drink or a coconut water. I've been really into coconut water recently. Because I think water. With the gym, my trainer's always like, you need electrolytes, you need to drink coconut water. So I drink coconut water like 2-3 times a day. I'm surprised I don't have one with me right now.
But like even like the podcast studio, I'm like, I need a Celsius.
Yeah.
And then before I'm gonna edit on my phone, I'm like, wait, let me make an iced coffee. Like it's actually bad.
Yeah, that Nespresso machine we have used
run that shit up.
Good.
We might need a new one because she's running down a little
I think that's gonna be my housewarming present to myself. Is a new Nespresso machine because we have really used ours.
Yeah.
Full capacity. Okay. Am I the only one who takes 3 business days to respond to texts but gets mad when people take forever to respond to me?
Oh, yeah, that's me. Yeah. Cuz I'll click on the notification and I don't have my read receipts on. So I'll click on it and I'll be like, "Oh, I'll respond to that later." And then I forget that there's a notification and then it drops down.
I have intentionally, I think 2025 changed me. I'm like a chronic, I wait forever to respond to people. But because of that, and because of my lack of responding when I don't text people back, it's been like a recent change that I've started implementing. When I see the text, I try to respond like ASAP. Usually I feel like it's for business though.
Yeah.
For business, I'm always be on.
Yes.
Like I'm probably text you 30 seconds after you text me.
Well, especially our management group text, because obviously they need things quickly.
Yeah.
But if it's with making plans, sometimes I don't know my schedule and then I'm like, oh, I have to check my schedule and then I have to make sure I have to do this. So then it's like multiple steps. So when it's time to make plans with people, I feel like I get overwhelmed sometimes. And then I'm like, okay, let me just do this later.
Real.
And then that's why it takes me a minute to respond.
I think if I know that that it needs to be responded to quickly, I will respond ASAP.
Yeah.
But again, if it's something that I'm like, oh, like let me think about that, it might take me many business
That's
days.
real. That's very real.
Many business weeks, possibly.
Okay. Am I the only one who puts off doing laundry until I'm down to my ugly clothes?
Down to your ugly clothes is crazy. But yes,
no,
you're
and
not
it's
alone.
not even like the ugly clothes, but it's like the stuff that doesn't really go together anymore, so there's really no outfits to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, well, I guess I have to do my laundry now.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with my workout clothes, because I'm like...
The workout clothes get me.
Because I be doing laundry. Being in the gym consistently, I forgot how much laundry I have to do.
And you know what? I'm so glad that you just said that because I need to get rid of some of my gym clothes. I realized I really only wear the same 6 sets over again.
Me too.
So why do I have so many sets that I never wear?
All right, you guys.
Well, did we pass or fail adulting? Y'all let us know in the comments.
I feel like we're passing. we're you know,
we're
B
passing
plus,
for now.
B.
You said what?
I said B plus B.
B. Okay, I'd give us a B. I'd give us a straight B because I think there's a lot of room for improvement. Once we start having sides,
that was a very like
meals,
teacher-esque answer.
Once we have sides with our meals and our protein, that's when we'll be in the A's.
Consistently, because sometimes I make broccoli.
And journaling.
I'll give myself that. I'll make broccoli like once a month.
She said, I'll eat my veggies once a month. No.
Or I'll put it in my smoothie. Like, I'll put kale in my smoothie.
There you go.
And then that's better.
Get those greens in, sis. Okay.
But then like actually eating greens, I'm like, oh, do I want to do this?
So once we have sides, multiple sides for our protein during dinner and consistently journal, I think we'll be B plus A minus ish.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start
We'll check back with
implementing
you
that.
guys.
Yeah, we'll circle back. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I had a great time. And
Today
make
was
sure,
a good one.
Today was a good one. I'm excited for all the new episodes that we're plotting on.
We've been scheming.
Yes. But make sure to follow us on Instagram. Mine is Malia Alexis _
And mine is Kenzie Grace _ and the podcast is Big Sis Energy with 2 Y's on Instagram and TikTok. We didn't get to help us this out today, but we have a help us this out segment at the end of each episode, and you guys can send in your dilemmas, your stories, your questions on our Instagram Big Sis Energy with 2 Y's via DM, or we also have a Google Forms link in the description below. So
Yes.
give us all the tea. And
make sure to subscribe because we're on YouTube and we're also on Spotify and Apple as well. And we'll see you guys next Sunday.
bye.
Bye.